राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your kind association. Let's continue our study of Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam in our Bhakti Vaibhava course. And today we will be continuing the final chapter, the 10th chapter of the second canto. But let us begin with our Mangalacharan Prayers first, and then we will recite the verses that we have to memorize. So, Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Swami Shri Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupadaya Te Namaha. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Guruvagya Shirasi Dhritva Shaktyavesh Swarupine Hare Krishneti Mantrena Paschatya Prachatarine Gaura Shri Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevine Radha Krishna Padam Bhojau Bhringaya Gurave Namaha. नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती इति नामिने श्रीवार्षभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः. माधुर्योज्वल प्रेमाढ्य श्री रूपानुग भक्तिद श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते. नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुग विरुद्ध अपसिद्धांत ध्वांतहारिणे नमो गौर किशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्य मूर्तये विप्रलंभ रसाम्बोधे पादाम्बुजाय ते नमः. नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानंद नामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुग वरायते गौराविर्भाव भूमिस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सज्जन प्रिय वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वृंदावनेश्वरी राधा कृष्णो वृंदावनेश्वरः जीवने निधने नित्यं राधा कृष्णो गतिर्मम. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. एतावान् सांख्य योगाभ्याम स्वधर्म परिनिष्ठया जन्मलाभ परपुंसाम् अन्ते नारायण स्मृतिः. अकाम सर्वकामो वा मोक्षकाम उदारधि तीव्रेण भक्ति योगेन यजेत पुरुषं परम्. अहमेवासमेवाग्रे नान्यद्यत् सदसत्परम् पश्चादहं यथेतच्च यो वशिष्येत सोऽस्म्यहम्. ऋत्यर्थं यत् प्रतीयेत न प्रतीयेत चात्मनि तद्विद्यादात्मनो मायां यथा भासो यथा तमः. यथा महान्ति भूतानि भूतेषु चावचेषनु प्रविष्टान्यप्रविष्टानि तथा तेषु न तेषाम्. एतावदेव जिज्ञास्यं तत्त्वजिज्ञासुनात्मनः अन्वयव्यतिरेकाभ्यां यत् सर्वत्र सर्वदा अत्र सर्गो विसर्गश्च स्थानं पोषणमूर्तयः मन्वन्तरेशानुकथा निरोधो मुक्तिराश्रयः हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. It's very nice to be back with all of you. Because of my night shifts, it's been a little topsy-turvy, my schedule. The shift is only 5 to around midnight, but then by the time I finish my notes, it's almost 2:30, 3 o'clock. So not able to do the evening classes and the morning program also. But this is only one more week now, then it will be back to routine. So, dear devotees, we are supposed to start from verse number 23 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, entitled Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So, text number 23. I request Shama Vallavi Mataji to read text 23, please, and the translation.
Text number 23. Vastuno mridu khatimya lagu gurvoshna shitatam jigrikshatas tvannirbhinna tasyam roma mahiruhaha tatra chantar bahirvatas tvacha labda gunovritaha. Translation. When there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, and heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hairs on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception became prominent. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shama Vallavi Mataji. Mataji, last session you had asked the question about Karana Sagar and Viraja river, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So Mataji, I read through Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and based on my understanding, I could not find any difference. But I'm not sure. So I'm going to ask our Pavaneshwar Prabhu. I will ask Pavaneshwar Prabhu, he's expert. And then I will get back to all of you. Okay?
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I just remembered. So thank you. You recited the shloka very nicely and read the translation also very nicely. So here, Sri Shukdev Goswami is teaching us that when there is a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as whether something is soft, something is hard, something is heavy, something is light, something is hot, something is cold, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hair on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception became prominent. So this is the technical detail of how, because in the Virat Roop, there is a desire for perceiving sensations, those sensations have manifested in us. In the Virat Roop, the trees represent the hair on the body of the Virat Roop. So we also have hair, and through the skin, through the sense of touch, we are able to perceive the physical characteristics of different objects. Purport by our beloved founder Acharya, our Param Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishtha, Om Vishnupad, Shri Srimad Abhay Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ji. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the physical characteristics of matter such as softness, hardness, etc. are subjects of sense perception. And thus physical knowledge is the subject matter of the touch sensation. To know the characteristics of any substance, we need sense perception. We want to do gargling, sore throat. We first touch the water. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? So like that. Then we buy a fruit also, we have to see. If an apple is very soft, that means it's rotten. So all those senses are coming from the sense perception, and ultimately this is coming from Krishna. because Krishna, in his form as Vishnu, has a desire to perceive sensation. Further down in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, this sense perception is also source of knowledge. Through sense perception, we gather knowledge. Therefore, one of the 5 Jnanendriyas is skin. Eyes, 1, ears, nose, taste buds on the tongue, and the 5th is tvacha, the skin. It is a Jnanendriya, which means knowledge acquiring. We acquire knowledge about things through sense perception. Source of knowledge. And therefore, it is suggested here that physical or physiological. Physical means the anatomy, and physiology means how the anatomy works. Physiological knowledge is subordinate to the knowledge of the self. So anatomy knowledge, physiological knowledge is subordinate to transcendental knowledge. We have seen this in the first chapter of Jaiva Dharma. There is Jada Vidya and there is Divya Vidya. There is Jada Jnana and Divya Jnana. There is mundane knowledge, which we get in college, university, schools. And then there is the divine knowledge, which we get from Guru, Sadhu Shastra. So Srila Prabhupada is saying knowledge of anatomy, physiology, it is subordinate to the knowledge of the self. Means knowledge of Krishna, as above mentioned. Knowledge of self. So the S is capital, uppercase, which means Krishna, Paramatma. Atma means small s. Paramatma means capital S, uppercase S. So knowledge of Paramatma, self, can expand to the knowledge of phenomena. Phenomena means this phenomenal world with its different features. But physical knowledge, so knowledge of Krishna can lead to material knowledge. Yomam evam asamudo janati purushottamam sa sarvavid. Varatimam sarva bhavena bharata. One who knows Krishna knows everything. Sa sarvavid. He knows everything. Knowledge of Krishna can lead to all sorts of knowledge, like Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada knows Krishna, Prabhupada knew about business. Prabhupada knew about construction. Prabhupada knew about how to establish a society, legal things, everything. Prabhupada he knew medical stuff. So expert. Why Prabhupada knew? Because Yomam evam asamudo janati purushottamam sa sarvavid. Bharatimam sarva bhavena bharata. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the one who knows me knows everything. So knowledge of Krishna can lead to all other knowledges, but not vice versa. Knowledge of matter will never lead to Divya Jnana. Jada Jnana will never lead to Divya Jnana. Divya Jnana may give Jada Jnana also. No problem for Krishna. He is source of all knowledge. So that difference we have to know, that spiritual knowledge may include material knowledge, but material knowledge does not include spiritual knowledge. Now I request Shama Kishori Mataji to please read text number 24 and the translation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hastaururubhatustasya nana karma chikirshaya tayustu balavan Indra adanam ubhayashrayam. Thereafter, when the Supreme Person desired to perform varieties of work, the 2 hands and their controlling strength and Indra, the demigod in heaven, became manifested, as also the acts dependent on both the hands and the demigod. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. So when Krishna desired, in the form of Vishnu, when Krishna desired to perform varieties of work, 2 hands came. These are the Karmendriya. 5 Karmendriya are there. Hands is 1, counted as 1. Legs is counted as 2. Then our Vani, speech, is counted as 3. Then our senses, genitals to procreate, that is 4. And to evacuate the waste from the body, the anus, etc., that is 5. So these are the 5 karmendriyas. We do karma. So when Krishna wants to do some work, the karmendriya is manifested for us. So in this way, all our senses, karmendriya, jnanendriya, they are all subservient to Krishna. They are all supposed to serve Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is called Rishikesh, the master of the senses. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, we will read the full purport. In every item, we can note with profit, which means we can note for our benefit, that the sense organs of the living entity are never independent at any stage. We may have very fine intelligence, very active mind. We may have extremely sharp senses. Both karmendriya, for example, our vak shakti may be very good. We may have very keen hearing. We may have very good, very sharp taste buds. I remember once Gaur Gopal Prabhu had come to our to bless us to honor Prasadam. This was many years ago, before I came to US. This was probably 2003 or something. Gaur Gopal Prabhu, Gaurang Prabhu, and Radha Vallabh Prabhu had come. Now Gaurang Prabhu is mega kitchen. Gaur Gopal Prabhu has very keen sense of taste, and Radha Vallabh Prabhu is personal cook of Maharaj. So they were all very good cooks, and my mother-in-law and my wife were very nervous to cook for them. So Shwetanga Mataji and Radha Bhav, they made palak paneer sabji. They were going to make South Indian. Gaurang Prabhu said, "You are not South Indian. Don't make South Indian for us. We are South Indians. Never, non-South Indian should never make South Indian food to feed a South Indian devotee." So he said, "You make something else." So they made palak paneer. I still remember, and I was serving. And Matajis, they were in the kitchen. They were not coming out. I was only serving the brahmacharis. And Gaur Gopal took one bite and he said, "Has Mataji put Goda masala in this?" I don't know what is Goda masala. So I went inside and asked. So he said, yes, we have put little Goda masala. He has such a keen, Gaur Gopal Prabhu has such a fine, sensitive sense of taste, because he's also a cook himself. So we may have very fine sense of discrimination, very fine senses. Somebody may have very good vision. And like I remember we had gone to Bandhavgarh National Park many years ago, and the guide with us who took us in the gypsy to find different animals, he spotted a tiger in the grass. The grass was yellow because it was summer, and the tiger also is yellow. And I could not see, even with binoculars, I could not see. He said, "Oh, the tiger is sitting there." I said, we cannot see. And then after focusing, we saw, yes, the tiger is so nicely camouflaged. He's sitting right there. Someone may have very keen sense of sight, very keen sense of touch, very keen sense of music. Like I was listening to one kirtan of Sripada Indra Prabhu on YouTube. And suddenly I said, "Oh, this is so nice." Indra Prabhu is singing. And Amarendra said, no, that's not Indra Prabhu. That is some other devotee. He told me the name. I said, "Oh, it just sounds like Indra Prabhu." He said, "Yeah, but it's not Indra Prabhu." Then I heard keenly. I said, "Yeah, there's a transition. Indra Prabhu, that's not Indra Prabhu." So someone may have very keen sense of hearing and discrimination. And all this is Krishna's vibhuti. All this is opulence of Krishna. All this is coming from Krishna. So our senses are never independent. They are always dependent on Krishna. In the second sentence, Srila Prabhupada says, Lord Krishna is known as Lord of the senses. Rishik means senses, Ish means the master, the Lord. Rishikesh, Krishna's name. Thus, the sense organs of the living entities are manifested by the will of the Lord, and each organ is controlled by a certain type of demigod. Every part of the body, there is some controlling superintendent demigod who is managing that as a department head. No one therefore can claim any proprietorship of the senses, because senses are under control of demigods, demigods are under control of Krishna. The living entity is controlled by the senses. Our senses control us. Eyes will see a traffic jam, immediately the body will say, "Okay, now let me take a detour. Yahan pe traffic jam. There's traffic jam," because with the eyes we saw. So the senses, they control us. My mouth is dry. Let me drink some water. Immediately, the senses will tell mouth is dry. We drink water. So senses control us. The living entity is controlled by the senses. The senses are controlled by the demigods. We are simply blinking. Who is controlling? Raise your hand. Who is controlling? Blinking of the eyes. Which powerful entity? Janani Mataji. You have to unmute, Mataji. Can you unmute? Mataji, we cannot hear you. Now say. What did you say? Who is the demigod for blinking of the eyes? I think Mataji's internet is not good. Kirtana Sundari Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Janani Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Is it Ashwini Kumaras?
For the blinking of the eyes, it is some other personality mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Kirtana Sundari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it's Nimi.
Maharaj Nimi.
Yes.
That story is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, the blinking of the eyes is called Nimesh. Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishayitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam Shri Govinda virahena. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying in Shikshashtak that Yugaitam nimesh, one nimesh, one blinking of an eye, means a fraction of a second, seems like a yuga, seems like hundreds of thousands of years, if I am without Krishna. If Krishna is there, then the yuga passes away like a nimesh. When Raslila is going on, the Raslila went on for a full kalpa, a full night of Brahma. And the gopis thought, we don't even know when it started and when it ended. Happy times are like that. They pass away like this. And painful times, they seem to be never ending. So, Yugaitam nimeshana Govinda virahena. If Govinda is not there, my Prananath Krishna is not there, then even a fraction of a second, a blink of an eye seems like a yuga. So, Nimesh. Nimi Maharaj control. So very good. Then the demigods control the senses, and the demigods are servants of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is called Deva Deva Jagatpate. He is Deva Dev. He is the Lord of all the demigods. Devta ke Devta is Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna. So he is Rishikesh. That is the arrangement of the system of creation. What is the arrangement? We are controlled by senses. Senses are controlled by devatas. Devatas are controlled by Krishna. The whole thing is controlled ultimately by the Supreme Lord Krishna. And there is no independence either of the material nature or of the living entities. Neither the material nature is independent, Maya Dhakshana Prakriti Suyata Characharam, and neither are the living entities independent. Bhoktaram Vigatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Krishna is the master of living entities living in all the planets. Sarva Bhuta Maheshwara. All the Bhuta. Bhuta means living entities. Krishna is the Maheshwara. The illusioned living entity who claims to be Lord of the senses is under the clutches of the external energy of the Lord. As long as a living entity continues to be puffed up by his tiny existence, he is to be understood to be under the stringent control of the external energy of the Lord. And there is no question of liberation from the clutches of illusion, Maya. However much one may declare himself to be a liberated soul. As long as we think we are independent, we are under the clutches of Maya. We are in illusion. And one who thinks that I am completely dependent on Krishna, that person becomes liberated. Mamevaya prapadyante, Maya metam tarantite. Now I request Amrit Gaurangi Mataji to please read text number 25. Amrit Gaurangi Mataji, read.
Gatim jigi satha padau ruruhate bikamikam padbhyam yagna swayam havyam karmabhi kriyate nribihi. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Thereupon, because of his desiring to control movement, his legs became manifested, and from the legs the controlling deity named Vishnu was generated. By his personal supervision of this act, all varieties of human being are busily engaged in dutiful occupational sacrifice. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Mataji. So Krishna desiring movement, there should be movement. So then legs manifested. And the controlling deity of the legs is Lord Vishnu himself. Therefore, Pada Sevanam. We have to serve Krishna with our legs by doing parikrama, by walking to satsang, walking to the temple, doing things, working for Krishna. To work, we need legs, and we have to work for Krishna. Mat karma krin. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, around 4th sentence from the top, men are moving by cars, by railway, by roads, by subways within the earth, and by planes in the sky. Why? Men are moving every day, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, the traffic starts. What is it? Peak traffic hour. For the purpose of business success. Just one day, just look what everybody is doing. Just become a little aloof and just observe. Everybody is so busy. Whether it is Bombay, whether it is Atlanta, whether it is New York, wherever you are. People are so busy. As soon as there is morning, the mode of passion starts. 7 o'clock, 7:30. Therefore, we have to finish our sadhana before 7 o'clock. Mode of passion is there. Then everybody, what to do? I have to do this, I have to do that. So one devotee was asking that as soon as we start chanting in the morning, so many thoughts come, distractions come, we start thinking of the to-do list, what things we have to do today. And this is natural in the conditioned state. And the solution for that is to get good rest and to tell the mind will always present distractions. Just tell the mind that now for 2 hours, it is time to connect with Krishna. It is time to express my devotion to Radha and Krishna. Therefore, I'm chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. After chanting is over, after the morning sadhana is over, then, my dear mind, we will get busy with the to-do list and we will accomplish everything. But now we are getting charged. Let the charging happen. Then when we are fully charged, those who have electric car, you charge the car. When the car is fully charged, then you can go for a nice long drive, 200 miles, 300 miles, also no problem. So now it is time to charge. Now don't go here and there. Get charged. Charging comes from Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara Yuddhacha Mai Arpita Mana Buddhi Mam Evashasi Asamshaya. Offer your mind and intelligence to Krishna right now. Let me just think of Krishna. Savai Manah Krishna Padara Vindaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. This is called Abhyasena Kaunteya Vairagyena Chakriyate. This is the way to control the chanchal mind. By practicing and detaching it from other things for the time being. Now it is just time for Krishna. So like that, mode of passion starts. And what are people doing? They are going to office, they are going to do shopping, they are going to do so many things. Why? Simply for business success, simply for success in this world, material success, Prabhupada says. But in all these movements, the real purpose is to earn wealth for comfortable life. You see anybody, whatever they are doing, ultimately it is to live a comfortable life through money, through different arrangements. For this comfortable life, the scientist is engaged, the artist is engaged, the doctor is engaged, the engineer is engaged, the technician is engaged, and all in different branches of human activity, people are engaged to get comfortable life. That is the aim. Because they have been captivated by the external energy, the next paragraph, because they have been captivated by the external energy of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, Maya, Hrita, Jnana, they have completely forgotten the Supreme Lord Vishnu. They have completely forgotten. Nate vidhu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. They forgot that the gati is Vishnu. The ultimate destination is Vishnu. They have forgotten. They cannot understand. Nate vidhu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. In the last paragraph, second sentence from the top, Srila Prabhupada says, one is certainly under the control of the Supreme Lord Krishna and under different agencies. Knowing this, one should make it a point that by his work and the result of his labor, he serves the Supreme Lord as prescribed by the authorities, expert in transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Those who are expert in bhakti, under their guidance, we should make sure that whatever money, whatever wealth, whatever position we are earning, we have to use it in Krishna's service. I have a friend, I was talking to him a few days ago, and his spiritual master gave him an instruction, personal instruction, that I want you to use your material position, because he's CFO of a very big multinational company. He's very, very, at a very high post. Very intelligent devotee, materially and spiritually, very accomplished. So he got an instruction from his spiritual master that use your material position to give Krishna consciousness to those people who would otherwise never come to ISKCON temple. Now, these are, as a CFO, he's dealing with other CFOs, with CEO, so many big shots. So he took that instruction to heart. This was around 20 years ago. He got this instruction. So he was telling, I was asking him, so Prabhu, can you tell me different ways in which you are giving Krishna to people who would otherwise never come to ISKCON temple? So he said, I try to do my work very nicely. And then I get Employee of the Year award. And then the employees, the colleagues, they glorify me. For example, last year in the annual meeting, they said, when I received that award, they said that we have noticed you. I will not reveal his name because he'll be very embarrassed. He's a very close friend. We have observed you you talk the same way to the CEO and to the janitor. You talk the same way. Equally polite, equally respectful, equally caring. And they were glorifying him in that way. And then whenever there are functions like this, he doesn't eat food there, but he requests his wife, who is a very good cook, to make nice things like cookies, muffins, everything prasad offered to their Gaur Nitai, and he takes it to the office and distributes. So even when he goes to the dentist, he will take prasad with him and he will give. And when the procedure is going on, he says, can I have, because in the dentist office, they put some music or they will put some TV serial there. So he says, can I choose what I want? They say, yeah, no, be my guest, do whatever you want. So then he puts nice kirtan. And then they are here, oh, that's cool music. And then, yeah, you want me to share it with you? And then he will send them a link of some nice kirtan. So at least they will hear Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Then they ask, how are you always so punctual? How are you so efficient? How are you so good expert in your work? He says, oh, I do mantra meditation every morning for 2 hours. What is that? And then he will start chanting and show them with a mala how to chant. Believe it or not, many people in his company who are very high functioning professionals in their field, they have asked him, can you give us a japa mala? We also want to do mantra meditation. And they are chanting 1 round, 2 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And he tells them, just hear the sound vibration. It will give you so much peace. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Before coming to office, wake up 10 minutes before you do. If you wake up at 6 o'clock, wake up at 5:50. 10 minutes before you wake up, after you take a bath, you sit down and you take this mala and chant 1 round. It takes 10 minutes. And then you come to the office. And so many people are chanting now. So in this way, we have to make sure, Prabhupada is saying that whatever activity we are doing, through our work, through our fruits of work, which means money, we should use it in Krishna's service. Somehow we should connect. And this, Prabhupada says, has to be done as prescribed by the authorities expert in bhakti. We cannot do it on our own. We have to take guidance from our Gurudev, from our spiritual superiors. They will guide us how we can give. Like when Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj came to Atlanta, I asked Maharaj, any personal instruction for me, how I can serve? And actually, I was serving Maharaj in the hospital. Maharaj was admitted for some procedure and I was serving Maharaj. I had a good fortune. So I asked Maharaj. So Maharaj said, I saw how you examined me. You were telling me, do this, do that. So this is very nice. You should somehow give the names of Gaur Nitai because they don't consider any offenses, and give them to your patients. And I immediately told Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, this is the Bible belt. Georgia, Alabama, this is a Bible belt. It's very conservative. Southern American Christians live here and they are quite conservative about these things. So many patients, they have held my cheeks. Doc, are you blessed? Are you blessed? They tell me. So first, I would not understand what is meaning. Are you blessed? Are you blessed? So it means something in Christianity that, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your savior? Have you been baptized or something? It means, I don't know exactly, but it's a very Christian thing. So, and I say, yes, I'm blessed. Thank you. Because of you, I'm blessed. So yes, it's very nice. They are very nice, faithful Christians. But Maharaj said that somehow you connect them to Krishna. So that will make them even better Christians. I said, how I can do that? They said, Patita Pavan Gaur Nitai. They are very Patita Pavan Gaur Nitai. You somehow give them the names of Nimai Nitai. And then he taught me that you do all this finger nose test. So you do that and then also tell them to do touch your knee, my. Touch your knee, touch your thigh, knee, thigh. Say that. Clap your hands, say Hari, hurry up. So they are getting Namavas. They are getting the holy name. So I try to practice that in my medical practice. And then once Param Puja Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj had come, and I also had the good fortune of serving Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and I asked him the same question. And Maharaj said that so many devotees come to Atlanta, they don't have health insurance, especially our pujaris. So I want you to stay in Atlanta. He said, don't leave Atlanta. Stay in Atlanta and take care of their healthcare needs. Anybody has any health problem, you without any charging anything. You take care of their health care, guide them, give them medicines, and be their personal doctor, servant doctor to all the pujaris and all the devotees who come to Atlanta. So again, that very nice instruction I got, which and I remember I told Maharaj that, Maharaj, it's very difficult to get a job in Atlanta after I graduate from Emory University, because Atlanta is a very high demand place and I'm on a visa, and for visa I may have to go to a smaller place where there is not so much demand, where there is not so much supply of doctors. So Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj said, don't worry, you will be in Atlanta. And actually I did not tell Maharaj, but I had already signed a job in remote Alabama, in a place called Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Many of you must not have heard also, Muscle Shoals. It's a very, very small town in rural Alabama. I had signed a contract, job contract, employment agreement, and I was supposed to go there. I didn't have the heart to tell Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj that, Maharaj, you are saying stay in Atlanta, but I'm not staying in Atlanta. As soon as I graduate in 4 or 5 months, I'm gone. I'm going to Alabama because they are doing my visa. They are doing my green card. I kept quiet. But see, the pure devotee's words have so much potency. This was 2013. This was June of 2013. And it was the first year after a gap of many years. You can look at the data also, because there was a great depression. There was a recession in 2008, 2007, 2008. The cap for H1B was never being met. No year the cap for H1B was met. But for the first time in 2013, the lottery system came. After a gap of many years, there was no lottery system. Everybody would get H1B. But that year, first time after a long gap, there was the lottery had to be done because there were too many applications, because now the economy had improved. And my lottery was rejected. In the lottery, my visa H1B was rejected. And then somehow, by Krishna's mercy, my boss from Emory left Emory and started her practice. And she said, I will hire you in Atlanta. So I said, but my visa was just rejected in the lottery. And she said, no problem. You'll get it. And somehow she applied and it got accepted because they were non-for-profit. So they didn't have to go through the lottery system. It was accepted. And I was in Atlanta. And then I was thinking, this is all because of Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Tara Ichha Balavan. Srila Prabhupada says the desire of a pure devotee is very strong. And it was a miracle how I got to stay in Atlanta, even though my plans were something else. So we have to always be guided in our service by our Guru Varga, by our spiritual superiors. Prabhupada is saying that this should be performed as prescribed by authorities expert in loving service of Lord Vishnu. For performing such occupational duty of life, the leg is the most important instrument of the body. Because without the help of legs, one cannot move from one place to another. And therefore, Lord Vishnu has special control over the legs of all human beings, which are meant for performing yajna. Sankirtan yajna. Krishna Varnam Tisa Krishnam Sangopangastra Parasam Yajna Sankirtana Praya Yantihi Sumedasa. The intelligent people will perform Nam Sankirtan yajna. To go on Nam Sankirtan, we need legs. Nacho gao bhakta sane, karo Sankirtan. So Mahaprabhu said. So we need legs. Now I request Janani Mataji to please read verse number 26. Use unmute Mataji and 26. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Niravidyata Shishno vai prajanandamritartinaha upasta asit kamanam priyam tadubhayashrayam. Translation. Thereupon, for begetting offspring and tasting heavenly nectar, the Lord developed the genitals, and thus there is the genital organ and its controlling deity like the Prajapati. The object of pleasure and the controlling deity are under the control of the genitals of the Lord.
So Sri Shukdev Goswami is saying that the greatest pleasure in this material world is sexual pleasure. And that pleasure stimulates us to get offspring. And this also pleasure ultimately comes from Krishna. And therefore, this pleasure of sexual activity should be used in the service of Krishna, not for our service, for service of Krishna, not for our pleasure, but for Krishna's service. And how Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. We will read the whole purport, so please listen attentively. The heavenly pleasure for the conditioned soul is sexual pleasure. And this pleasure is tasted by the genitals. The woman is the object of sexual pleasure, and both the sense perception of sexual pleasure and the woman are controlled by the Prajapati. The demigod in charge of sexual pleasure is Prajapati, who is under the control of Lord's genitals. So Krishna controls ultimately. He is the ultimate controller. The impersonalist must know from this verse that Lord is not impersonal, for Lord has his genitals on which all the pleasurable objects of sex depend. No one would have taken the trouble to maintain children if there were no taste of heavenly nectar by means of sexual intercourse. This material world is created to give the conditioned souls a chance for rejuvenation, for going back home, back to Godhead. What is the purpose of material creation? That the jivas get a chance to go to Vaikuntha. And therefore, generation of the living being is necessary for upkeep of the purpose of creation. So if jivas have to go back home, back to Godhead through this material world, then creation has to take place, procreation has to take place. And for that, there should be some impetus for the jivas to engage in sexual intercourse. And therefore that pleasure is created, the pleasure of sexual intercourse. So everybody wants to have sexual intercourse to produce offspring, and offsprings will come, then they will get a chance to meet sadhu, they will get a chance to study Bhagavad Gita, and the path for liberation will open up. Sexual pleasure is an impetus for such action, and as such, one can even serve Lord Krishna in the act of such sexual pleasure. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ji Maharaj, who was a Naishtik Brahmachari, Bal Brahmachari, he said that if I can guarantee that all my children will become pure devotees of Krishna, I don't mind having 100 children. Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada said like that. I don't mind having 100 children. Because Prabhupada is saying here, very important, that one can even serve Lord Krishna in the act of such sexual pleasure. How? The service is counted when the children born of such sexual pleasure are properly trained in Krishna consciousness. The children that we get through the act of sexual intercourse, those children, if they are trained, the children are a byproduct of sexual activity. Now, if those children are trained to be nice Krishna conscious devotees, if we give Krishna consciousness to the children, then that act of sexual intercourse is sarthak. It is successful. Otherwise, it was just mundane pleasure. So it is not optional. It is our duty. It is our religious duty to give Krishna consciousness to our children, because children are products of sexual intercourse. We have to give Krishna consciousness. Guru na satyat, svajana na satyat, pita na satyat, janani na satyat, deva na satyat, na pati na satyat, namo chayetyo samupeta mrutyum. Bhagwan Shri Rishabdev Maharaj instructs his 100 sons like this. Cannot become pita na satyat, janani na satyat. You cannot become a father, you cannot become a mother. Our Janani Mataji read this verse. Pita na satyat, janani na satyat. If you cannot make your daughter Satyarupa situated in the supreme Satya, Satyam Satyam Punah Satyam Harer Nameva Kevalam, if you cannot make your children Krishna conscious initiated devotees, then, like it is said, when father told the son, your failure as a son is my failure as a father. If the children fail in Krishna consciousness, it is the failure of parents also. So Prabhupada is very emphatic in saying that we have to give them Krishna consciousness. properly trained in Krishna consciousness. The whole idea of material creation is to revive the dormant Krishna consciousness of the living entity. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. It is there. We have to ignite it. Therefore, Shripad Vaisheshika Maharaj, what is his website called? Fan the spark. Fan the spark. Everybody has that spark in them. You have to fan it. Fan the spark. Fan the spark. Dormant Krishna consciousness of the living entity. It has to be revived. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem sadhya kabuno hai. Shravan Adi means Shravan Kirtan Vishnu Smarana. Shravan Adi Shuddha Chitti Koriye Uday. When the heart becomes pure, then Krishna Prem rises. In forms of life other than human form, sexual pleasure is prominent without any motive of service for the mission of the Lord. Raise your hand. What is the mission of the Lord? Who understood? What is the mission of the Lord? Why Lord created this world? Yes, Shama Kishori Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, to give us an opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead.
Correct. That is the only purpose why this world is created. So what is Prabhupada saying in this sentence? That in the forms of life, other than human forms, sexual pleasure is prominent, but without any motive for service to the mission of the Lord. What does this mean? Who can explain? Sarojanandini Mataji, please explain. What does this mean? What is the difference between animal producing children and human being producing children? What should be the difference?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So for animals, they don't have this motive of serving Krishna through the act. But for human beings, our main purpose is to serve Krishna in every action. So that way, even for progeny, we use it in service of Krishna. They don't have that motivation. The animal.
Correct. Animals will produce offspring, but they will not give Krishna consciousness. They cannot give Krishna consciousness because they don't have it. You can only give what you have. But human beings, they have the potential and they have the sacred duty to give Krishna consciousness to their offspring. But in the human form of life, the conditioned soul can render service to Lord Krishna by creating progeny suitable for the attainment of salvation. Na muchayatyo samupreta murtyum. To deliver them from the repeated cycle of birth and death. One can beget hundreds of children and enjoy the celestial pleasure of sexual intercourse, provided he is able to train the children in God consciousness. The aim should be to train the children in God consciousness. Once a devotee told Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I am working as a security guard in our temple. So according to Varna, I am Kshatriya. I am security guard in the temple. So Prabhupada, the Kshatriyas are allowed to have many wives. So can I marry 2-3 more girls? Prabhupada said, rascal, you want to marry them just for sense gratification. Foolish fellow. Be satisfied with one wife. Don't do this. Prabhupada chastised. So it is not for sense gratification, but it is to give the children a chance to get Krishna in this life, to attain Krishna in this life. Prabhupada says, one can have hundreds of children and enjoy sexual pleasure, provided he is able to train the children in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, begetting children is on the level of Hare Krishna. Prabhupada says, level of the swine. Simha Guru. Rather, Prabhupada doesn't stop at that. Prabhupada says, rather the swine is more expert than the human being, because the swine can beget dozens of piglets at a time, whereas human being can give birth to only 1 or 2, maximum 3. Prabhupada was very confrontational. I saw he would take the bull by the horns and smash. He's coming to America. He's not cowed down by all these material advancement. He's not impressed. He will give it as it is. Hare Krishna. This is the glory of Srila Prabhupada. Uncompromising. Uncompromising. Who can write like this in the book? Who is going to like this? Who is going to appreciate this? You think people will come again after hearing this? You know that story of the FUGs. FUGs. Don't Google. They were a band of musicians, I think a little bit before maybe they were contemporary of the Beatles. The Beatles were in UK, these were in the US. The FUGs, FUGs. All their songs, the lyrics were about sex and drugs, glorifying sex and glorifying taking illicit drugs. And Brahmananda Prabhu and other devotees, they preached to them and somehow convinced them to come and meet Srila Prabhupada at 26th Avenue. And they came and they were very, very influential, and so many Prabhupada disciples were there, and these 4 or 5 musicians of the FUGs band, they were also there. And initially the conversation was very nice. Prabhupada told them that music is very important. We are also musicians, and you can serve the Lord through music, singing and composing nice songs about God. And they were very impressed by hearing this philosophy that, wow, here is a philosopher who's telling us that music is sacred. And then Prabhupada said, but the music should connect everyone to God. And for that, you must follow the 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. And the devotees there were praying that Prabhupada doesn't talk about the 4 regulative principles, because their whole life was about drugs and sex. And when Prabhupada said, they looked down, became uncomfortable, and they left, never to come back again. So some devotees were thinking that this was a failure of Prabhupada's preaching. They could have done so much service. But Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, explains Prabhupada's heart. So it's not like that. My Guru Maharaj said that Prabhupada, at every moment, he was not just preaching to the visitors. Prabhupada was preaching to the disciples also who were sitting there. And for them, Prabhupada said that you must follow the 4 regulative principles. Because perhaps Prabhupada knew that no matter what you do, these people are not ready. They are not ready. So, but anyway, at least they got darshan of Prabhupada, they got some Mahaprasad. So their Adhyatmik Sukriti has begun. Bhakti Poshak Sukriti has begun. But Prabhupada was like that, very uncompromising. And that is Srila Prabhupada's glory. One should always remember that the genitals, sexual pleasure, the women, and the offspring are all related in the service of Lord Krishna. And one who forgets this relationship in the service of the Supreme Lord becomes subjected to 3-fold miseries of material existence. So who are to be seen in relationship to service to Krishna? The genitals, sexual pleasure, women, and the offspring. They are all in the service of Krishna. We should see them as connected to Krishna. We should not see them as somebody meant for my pleasure. No, they are for Krishna's service. Perception of sexual pleasure is there even in the body of the dog, but there is no sense of Krishna consciousness. The human form of life is distinct from that of the dog. How? By the perception of Krishna consciousness. We have Krishna consciousness. They don't have Krishna consciousness. Now I request Satyarupa Mataji to read verse number 27.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. Utsisrakshordhatumalam niravidyata vaikudam tatah payustato mitra utsarga ubayashrayah. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter, when he desired to evacuate the refuse of eatables, the evacuating hole, anus, and the sensory organ thereof developed along with the controlling deity Mitra. The sensory organ and the evacuating substance are both under the shelter of the controlling deity.
So the controlling deity for the evacuating organs, how we evacuate the refuse, urine and stool from the body, it is under the control of the demigod Mitra, who ultimately is under control of Krishna. The sensory organ and the evacuating substance are both under the shelter of the controlling deity. So Prabhupada says in the purport, even in the matter of passing stool, removing the refuse, it is all controlled by the demigods who are controlled by Krishna. So how can the living entity claim to be independent? We cannot even control our bladder and bowels. How we can claim to be God? So very simple and nice logic. Aradhya Madhavi Mataji, please read verse number 28.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Asisro purapurya nadi dvaram apanata tatra panastato mrityu prithatvam ubaya shrayam. Translation. Thereafter, when he desired to move from one body to another,
The navel and the air of departure and death were combinedly created. The navel is the shelter for both, namely death and the separating force.
Hare Krishna. One devotee recently shared an audio recording with me between Her Grace Satyavati Mataji and our Radhesham Prabhu. And Satyavati Mataji is a senior counselor in the Pune congregation, and she recently left her body. So when she was in the hospital, she had a phone conversation with Radhesham Prabhu. And in that conversation, she's telling Radhesham Prabhu that I was in the hospital, and suddenly a thought came in my heart that just like a child, a fetus gets nourishment from the mother through the connection of the umbilical cord, Nabhi. Similarly, Lord Brahma is connected to Lord Vishnu, Shri Garbhodakshay Vishnu, through the Nabhi, through the umbilical cord, which is the lotus flower. And so Brahmaji is like the child of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and the lotus is like the umbilical cord nourishing him. So this thought came in my heart and I felt very happy, but I don't know if this is my mental speculation or whether this is something that is Shastra Pramanit, is substantiated by Shastra. I don't know, Radhesham Prabhu, but this thought came in my heart. I have never read anything like this or heard anything, but it came. So I wanted to ask you, is this mental speculation or is this something that Krishna gave in my heart? So Radhesham Prabhu immediately said, I don't remember which purport, but in one purport, Srila Prabhupada writes exactly what you, the thought that came in your heart. So it is bona fide. Radhesham Prabhu said, he said, I will send you the verse, like that. So that audio was shared with me by one devotee. And then when I was preparing for today's class, we saw this purport. Now listen to this purport. I'll read the whole purport. Prabhupada says exactly the same thing, what Satyavati Mataji felt in her heart. The Prana Vayu continues the life, and the Apana Vayu stops the living force. Both the vibrations are generated from the abdominal hole, the navel, the umbilicus. This navel is the joint from one body to the other. Lord Brahma was born of the abdominal hole of Shri Garbhodakshay Vishnu as a separate body. And the same principle is followed even in the birth of any ordinary body. The body of the child develops from the body of the mother, and when the child is separated from the body of the mother, it is separated by cutting the umbilical cord, cutting the navel joint. So Prabhupada says this, that Lord Brahma is born from Garbhodakshay Vishnu's navel, and same principle is followed in birth of ordinary living entities. And that is the way the Supreme Lord manifested himself as separated many. Ekoham Bahu Syama. Krishna is one, the Upanishads say, but he desired to become many. So then through his marginal potency, Tatastha Shakti, he spread all the jivas in the world. The living entities are therefore separated parts, and thus they have no independence. Mama Amsha, Jiva Loka, Jiva Bhuta, Sanatana. Shamchandra Prabhu, please read verse number 29.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Aditsor annapananam asan kuksyantra nadayah nadyah samudrascha tasyo tayo tushtis pushtis tadashraye. Translation: when there was a desire to have food and drink, the abdomen and the intestines and also the arteries became manifested. The rivers and seas are the source of their sustenance and metabolism. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So when the desire to have food and drink, then the abdomen and intestines and the arteries manifested. So what is the connection between the arteries and the intestines? This is medical. So in the bowels, the food gets digested, it gets absorbed into the bloodstream. goes to the liver, gets metabolized, assimilated, and then through the arteries, it gets disseminated to the rest of the body. And that's how the rest of the body becomes nourished. So that is the connection between the arteries and the bowels. Food is digested in the bowels. It is absorbed into the blood vessels. That is a connection. So all the nutrition in the food that we eat from the stomach, small intestine, it gets absorbed into the bloodstream, goes to the liver, gets nicely metabolized, assimilated, and then through the blood vessels, again the arteries, it goes to the rest of the body. So the whole body becomes tushti pushti. Whole body becomes nourished. So that is a connection. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the controlling deities of the intestines are the rivers, and those of the arteries are the seas. Fulfillment of the belly with food and drink is the cause of sustenance. Because without annat bhavati bhutani, Gita ji, Lord Krishna says, through food we are maintained. And the metabolism of food and drink replaces the waste of the bodily energies. When the body is depleted of energy, when the food is processed, then the energy is restored. Therefore, the body's health is dependent on healthy actions of the bowels. Digestive system is very important for our health. When the digestive system becomes spoiled, according to Ayurveda, then the whole overall health gets spoiled. And the health of the artery is very important. If the arteries are not working properly, we'll get heart attacks and strokes. The rivers and seas being the controlling deities of the two, rivers for the bowels and sea for the arteries, they keep the intestine and the arteries in healthy order. Now, I request very humbly Kirtila Sundari Mataji to read verse number 30.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranams.
Hare Krishna.
Nididhyasur atmamayam hridayam nirabidyata tato manas chandrati sankalpa kama evacha. When there was a desire to think about the activities of his own energy, then the heart, the seat of the mind, the moon, determination, and all desire became manifested. Hare Krishna.
When there was a desire to think about the activities of his own energy, then the heart, which is the seat of the mind, the heart, the mind, the moon, and determination, and all desires, they became manifested. Purport Srila Prabhupada says, the heart of every living entity is the seat of the super soul Paramatma, who is a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality. Paramatma is Shirodakshay Vishnu. So, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati. So, Hrideshe, in the region of the heart, the soul, super soul is there, Paramatma is there, Lord Vishnu is there. Without the presence of Paramatma, the living entity cannot get into the working energy according to the past deeds. According to our karma, we get a body, but we cannot start working until Krishna's presence is there. The living entities who are conditioned in the material world are manifested in the creation in terms of receptive inclinations inherent in them. When the srishti takes place, creation takes place, depending on what desires we have had in the previous creation, we will get bodies in the material world accordingly. And the requisite material body is offered to each and every jiva by the material energy, Daivanetrena, under the direction of the super soul. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. When therefore the super soul is situated in the heart of the conditioned soul, the requisite mind is manifested in the conditioned soul. So because the super soul is there, then the subtle body is available. And he becomes conscious of his occupation as one is conscious of his duty after waking up from slumber. When we are sleeping, we are not active. But when we wake up, what time it is, what I have to do, immediately the activity starts as soon as we wake up. Therefore, the material mind of the living entity develops when super soul sits on his heart. So when the super soul comes, it is a time of awakening for the jiva. Otherwise, the jiva is dormant. So then the mind develops because of the presence of super soul. And after which the mind, the controlling deity of the mind, that is moon. Moon is the controlling deity of the mind. And then the activities of the mind, namely thinking, feeling, willing, desires, all they take place. The activities of the mind cannot begin without the manifestation of the heart, and the heart becomes manifest, the seat of the subtle body, when Lord, Paramatma, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu appears, and he wants to see the activities of material creation. When Krishna wants the activities to start in the material world, activities of the jivas, then the subtle body manifests, and then thinking, willing, all the desires in the subtle body, in the heart, they manifest. So in this way, Krishna is really Sarva Karana Karanam. So with this, we will stop here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We will have our session day after tomorrow. And we'll see if we can finish the chapter or not. We'll see. And then tomorrow we will have Jaiva Dharma. Because Monday we could not have because of my work schedule. So we'll have it tomorrow. Those of you who cannot attend, then you can catch up on the recording. But I would like to don't want to give very big gap. So tomorrow evening we'll have Jaiva Dharma, Wednesday. Okay. Now questions. Divya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question about education. Like I understand that the education in school and university are mundane, but at the same time, don't we need that education to survive? I mean,
Yes.
I know
We
some
need
devotees.
We need education. We need education, and Vidyamscha Vidyamscha. In Ishopanishad it is said that we need knowledge, both divine knowledge and knowledge of this dull world of darkness also. But the point Srila Prabhupada is making is our material education, we have to use it in the service of Krishna. So we can be a doctor, we can be engineer, we can be MBA, we can be businessman, we can be housewife, whatever we are. But we have to use our profession, our vocation in the service of Krishna. Either our work or our fruit of work, which is the money or the power or position that we get. We have to somehow utilize it, channelize it in some form or shape in the service of Krishna. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, but some devotees, they kind of propagate that, you don't need
Don't worry.
education.
See, don't worry about what other devotees are saying. We are reading from Srila Prabhupada in the purport that we have to use our job and the fruits of our work in the service of Krishna. So then what others are saying? Suno na kaho ki kahi, kaho na apni baat. Radha Krishna prem mein magna raho din raat. We don't have to worry. Don't have to hear what others are saying. We don't have to give explanation to others. What our Guru Sadhu Shastra are saying, we follow that. Okay.
And I have one more question. This was a very challenging question that was asked by one of the family priests to another devotee.
Family priest.
Yeah, like a family priest. The one, when I was in India, and he was the one who did the, the rites, last rites of my father-in-law. So he asked the question. He asked, where is the soul? So we answer that the soul is in the heart. So he asked another challenging question that if
heart
soul
transplant
is in the heart, heart transplant.
It's a stupid question. It's a foolish question. It's a unnecessary intellectualization of the spiritual concept. The soul is subtle. It is very subtle. It is subtler than the false ego, subtler than the intelligence, subtler than the mind. And Krishna says, Rida Deshe Arjuna Tishtati, in the region of the heart. Now, if we just anatomically restrict it to the heart, that is incorrect. Heart is just a hardware. It's a car ka engine. Engine gets spoiled, you can just remove the engine and put a new engine, and the car will still run. That's like a heart transplant. But that doesn't mean that the driver is gone. The driver sits near the engine is there, then the dashboard is there, and the driver is sitting. So Krishna says, Rida Deshe, in the region of the heart. But heart is a very anatomical structure in the body. And the soul is very subtle. Soul is so subtle, it is so small and so sukshma and so powerful that even if we anatomically excise the heart and we transplant the heart of another person, that's just a mechanical organ. And the heart is in that region, but it's not necessarily physically in the heart. And even if it were in the heart, it is so subtle that it can stay in the body. And the heart with its 4 chambers is removed, and a new heart with those 4 chambers is transplanted and reattached. All the arteries and veins are reattached and it starts pumping. The heart is there in the chest. It doesn't literally mean that, it's in the heart, it is restricted in the heart, it cannot move. The soul can move. At the time of death, the soul moves, isn't it? So there is no problem. So many times the ghost soul enters the body and leaves. The soul is not langda. Soul is not lame. It cannot move. It is very subtle, very powerful, the soul. It goes into the different Brahmand also, it is possible. So soul can travel by the power of the Paramatma. Paramatma is there. The two birds are there together. Paramatma is there. So soul cannot be, we cannot have a very physical, morphological understanding of the spiritual soul. It's like a kidney stone. Oh, the kidney stone is in the right kidney. So when the right kidney is removed, the stone is also removed. The soul is not like a kidney stone. It's not like a stone sitting in the heart, cardiac stone. No, not like that. Stone is something very physical, material thing. Soul is not material object. It's a spiritual object. It's a Chid Kand. Remember Jaiva Dharma first class. It is Chid Kand. Anu Chid Kand, and Krishna is Brihat Chid Vastu. The soul is Anu Chid Kand. He's a small spiritual fragmental part. And Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Padma Purana explains Keshagra Shatabhagasya. You take a tip of a hair, Keshagra, divide it into 100 parts, take one part, divide it into 100 parts. That microscopic is the size of the subtle soul. So soul is not like some kidney stone stuck in an organ. It is not like a tumor stuck in an organ. A meningioma in the brain will stay in the brain, isn't it? The soul is not like that. Soul is not a material object. It's a spiritual object. It can move with the power of the Paramatma. And Rida Deshe, Arjuna Tishta. It's in the region of the heart. So removing heart doesn't matter. So it's sounds like a very intelligent question, but actually it's a very foolish question because there is lack of understanding of the spiritual nature of the soul. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we'll go very quick because 3 more questions. Kirta Sundari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranams. Prabhuji, I have one question about this verse 29, where it says, the rivers and seas are the source of their sustenance and metabolism. And Prabhupada and the purport write, the river and the seas being the controlling deities keep the intestine and the arteries in healthy order. So just want to understand that how the river and seas influence the intestines and the arteries in the body of a living
Because
entity.
seas and rivers their contents are liquid, right? And in the digestive system also, the food that we digest, it becomes liquid. Even solid food, after mixing with the digestive enzymes of the stomach and the pancreas and the small intestine, it becomes liquid. And even the blood is in a liquid form. So those liquid bodies of water, seas and rivers, they have that connection. Just like the hair are made of keratin, and the trees are also hard substance on the earth planet. So there is a connection. So like that, from the Virat root, the digestion and the arteries both have liquid contents, and the predominating deity is the sea and the rivers. Does that make sense, Mataji?
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu. So just I was reflecting on this point that if somebody's arteries or intestines is not working properly, so should they worship rivers and seas, or?
So that will come in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Shukdev Goswami says, for this you worship this, for that you actually we already covered that. For this you worship this, for that you worship this, for that you worship this. But ultimately he says,
Akama sarva kama.
Moksha kama udaridi, tivrana bhakti yogena. Why I go to the different managers when you have a direct connection? You are an amsha of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are an amsha of the owner, founder of the company. So directly go to Krishna. And Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that ye api anya devata bhakta ijante shraddhayanvita te api mameva kaunte ijantya avidhi purvakam. Anya devata bhakti is avidhi purvak. It is eating indirectly. It is not vidhi purvak. Vidhi purvak is that you just sarva dharman parityajya and mamekam, Krishna ekam sharanam. Like that. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shama Vallavi Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Prabhuji, for eyes, the sense devata is Surya, na? And for blinking of eyes, today you told Nimi, so 2 different devatas for that eye itself.
No, the one we discussed is for the eyelids.
Okay.
Nimesh. It is for eyelids, not the eye.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Shama Kishori Mataji, you wanted to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I actually had the same question as Kirtida Sundari Mataji, so you answered it. About the intestines and arteries being controlled by the sea and rivers, I didn't understand the connection.
Yeah, the liquid.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you very much, dear devotees. So we'll see you for Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Vaibhava, day after tomorrow. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam